The story begins on what appears to be a completely ordinary night. Streetlights illuminate the empty roads. Cars pass by. Nothing feels unusual. Nothing feels dangerous. At least, not yet. Our protagonist casually enters a convenience store and walks toward the refrigerator section. He isn't looking for trouble, he's just thirsty. After browsing for a moment, he reaches for a bottle of cola. A simple decision, because the instant his fingers touch the bottle, a voice suddenly speaks from behind him. Are you really choosing the cola? The question sounds strange, but not dangerous. Confused, the protagonist simply nods. Yeah, the stranger smiles, and that smile immediately feels wrong. Very wrong. Before the protagonist can react, boom! A glass bottle smashes into his head. Blood explodes across the floor. His vision blurs, his body collapses, and as darkness consumes him, the last thing he hears is, "Excellent choice." But who was that man? Why did choosing a cola get him killed? 1 hour before his death, he openly admits that he's addicted to dopamine, the constant pursuit of stimulation, excitement, and satisfaction. Whether it's games, entertainment, or anything capable of triggering that rush, he discovered online gaming, and everything changed. Ironically, he never wanted to become a gamer. In fact, he hated gaming, mostly because of his mother. Whenever she played games, she completely ignored reality. Phone calls went unanswered, messages piled up, hours disappeared. As a child, he couldn't understand it. How could a game possibly be that important? Then he tried one himself, and suddenly, everything made sense. The progression, the competition, the challenge, the satisfaction of becoming stronger. He was hooked almost instantly, and because normal games eventually stopped exciting him, he began searching for increasingly difficult ones, harder, more brutal, more unforgiving, eventually leading him toward apocalypse survival games, zombie outbreaks, destroyed civilizations, end-of-the-world scenarios. He played them all, mastered them all. But among hundreds of apocalypse games, one stood above the rest. One game became his ultimate obsession, a game called Apocalypse Safe Zone. And once you hear how this game works, you'll understand why. According to the game's lore, humanity's downfall began when a gigantic meteor struck Earth. The impact devastated the planet, temperatures plummeted, the world entered a catastrophic ice age, governments collapsed, civilization disappeared, billions died. The survivors desperately gathered inside fortified settlements known as safe zones. At first glance, that sounds simple, almost normal. But here's the terrifying twist. Most players believe surviving inside a safe zone is the goal. They're completely wrong, because the apocalypse you just heard about? That's only phase 1. The real horror comes later, and when it arrives, every safe zone becomes a battlefield. There are 9 safe zones in total: candy, cola, beer, cigarette, chicken, love, unicorn, cocaine, and the infamous knife zone. When players create a character, they choose one of these zones. Then they're reborn as a 10-year-old child. For the next 10 years, they train, study, prepare, survive. Most players think those 10 years are the challenge. They're wrong, because the moment your character turns 20, the second apocalypse begins, and everything changes. No more safety, no more protection, no more peace. Every zone becomes your enemy. Every survivor becomes a potential killer. The game transforms into a brutal war where only the strongest remain alive, and that's why your starting zone matters. The harder the zone, the greater the rewards. The more suffering you survive, the stronger you'll become. Which brings us to the most feared location in the entire game, the knife zone. A place so brutal, most players never even unlock it, because everyone who grows up there becomes something terrifying. Not survivors, not warriors, monsters. And that's exactly why our protagonist became obsessed with it. After years of grinding, years of experimentation, and countless failed attempts, he accomplished something nobody thought possible. He cleared every ending, even the hidden knife zone route, a feat considered nearly impossible. Naturally, he uploaded a guide online, and the internet immediately lost its mind, because his strategy was completely insane. To survive Knife Zone, his guide recommended eliminating every original resident before they became threats. The problem? Your character starts as a 10-year-old child. Most players called him a psychopath, others accused him of trolling, some even blocked him. But none of them could argue with one fact. His method worked, and after conquering every challenge the game had to offer, he found himself facing a problem he had never encountered before. He was bored. For the first time in years, there was nothing left to conquer. So he went outside searching for something new. And that's when he found the convenience store. The same convenience store where he would be murdered, and where his impossible journey would truly begin. Instead of meeting his end, the protagonist suddenly awakens on a hard stone floor. his senses overwhelmed by a flash of light. He finds himself dressed in a sleek, white military uniform with distinctive orange and black trim. Right beside him, a blonde youth in an identical uniform is clutching his head in absolute panic, realizing he has transmigrated into the deadly world of the very game they used to play. While his companion panics at the threat of death, staring at his new surroundings, he realizes that his boring life is over, and he has just been handed the ultimate source of dopamine.